Well, good morning. It's Wednesday. It's Ash Wednesday. And this morning we are going to look at Luke 7:11 through 17, which says, "Soon after, he went to a town called Nain, and his disciples and a great crowd went with him. As he drew near to the gate of the town, behold, a man who had died was being carried out, the only son of his mother, and she was a widow, and a considerable crowd from the town was with her. And when the Lord saw her, he had compassion on her and said to her, 'Do not weep.' Then he came up and touched the bier, and the bearer stood still. And he said, 'Young man, I say to you, arise.' The dead man sat up and began to speak, and Jesus gave him to his mother. Fear seized them all, and they glorified God, saying, 'A great prophet has risen among us, and God has visited his people.' And this report about him spread through the whole of Judea and all the surrounding country." So Jesus raises a dead man. Well, he does this a couple of times in the Gospels, and every time he does it, it's an astounding thing that he does. So he raises the dead. I worked with Wesley Baker, and Wesley used to, as the charge before the benediction, he would quote that piece from one of Paul's letters where it says something like, proclaim the gospel, heal the sick, comfort the lame, something, and, go in peace. Well, Wesley would always conclude it with, raise the dead. And the congregation would be going, what? And, he would laugh and say, well, it might happen someday, so, don't be afraid. Jesus raises dead people. Now, does that mean that we should go out to the cemetery and pray for people to come up out of their graves? No, I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen, and I don't think that's what Jesus really wants us to do. But when Jesus raises the dead, well, what's dead among us? Look at our lives. There's parts of our lives that are dead, parts of our lives that are have withered away because they're undeveloped, parts of our lives that aren't alive and vital, whatever part that might be. And Jesus says, I'm here, I'm going to raise the dead. So he's going to give us the power to arise, to give us the power to see that part of our life rejuvenated, revitalized, and made alive. And that's what he's going to do. That's what he wants to do, and that's the healing that he does for this guy from Nain. That's the same thing that he will do for us. And so we should look for that life to be poured into us, so that we too see the dead raised. Now, it's Ash Wednesday, so some of you are going to go to church and get ashes. Some of you are going to note that it's Ash Wednesday. Some of you are going to say, well, that's a Catholic thing. No, it's a historic Christian thing, and it marks the beginning of Lent. Now, Lent is 40 days, so how did it end up on a Wednesday? It ended up on a Wednesday because you don't count the Sundays. You start at Easter and count backwards, but you skip the Sundays. I don't know why, but so there's Sundays or Sundays in Lent. The Sundays in Advent are Sundays of Advent, because Advent consists of 4 Sundays, but Lent consists of 40 days, and we don't count the Sundays. It's a little distinction. I don't know why it's that way, but that's how the tradition does it. So from now until Easter, it's 40 days, 47 days, and wow, it's almost Easter, and we've still got the Christmas decorations up. So, we gotta move fast this year. But Lent is a time when we don't. It's not a time to give something up. I like to give up broccoli every Lent. Or you give up chocolate and then you don't. It's a time when we examine ourselves and see what do we need to do or stop doing that would be good for us. So you think about that today, and we will see you tomorrow.